running quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I feel like it was a headline, an article. I don't know what it was, but it just really got to me.
Clearly.
Because
there's more notes on that than any of the football games.
Well, it was just, I mean, it was because I don't understand why, and I'm kind of tired of it. Of everybody always saying that a running quarterback's not going to make it in this league. Mm-hmm. And I think it was because I was thinking of Jalen Hurts, because he's what you would consider a running quarterback.
Yep.
And then I also realized that until he got some pieces put around him to allow him to play as a quarterback, he's shown that he's a great quarterback, at least for a year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's, you mentioned earlier, MVP candidate, and if you look through time, going back to the RG3 conversation with the running quarterback being put in a bad situation, Justin Fields.
I mean, there's tons of them. Cam Newton. Yeah. There's quite a few, and they're just like, oh, there's no longevity there because all they do is run. And I'm like, but they're running for their lives. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I'm sitting there, and I'm curious on why do you think that people continuously say that there's no longevity in this league for a running quarterback? Yeah, I mean, other than the obvious where you're running, you're going to get hit more, potential injuries, you're not really built to sustain that many hits. I think a lot of people, I think it's one of those topics that's just kind of, I can't think of the correct word right now, but when you hear running QB, there's automatically a negative connotation that comes with it. Like, there is no, running quarterback. So, like, how does he put it together? What's it look like? What's the scheme? And people don't think of how offenses are orchestrated around a quarterback who has mobility like that. So I think it's an easy answer for a lot of people to just say, oh, so he's more injury prone. It's that simple. I don't think most people go in depth and into the details of how to be successful using your legs. See, I think when a lot of people think of Pat Mahomes, they wouldn't consider him a running quarterback. I would disagree. I think Pat Mahomes is a mobile quarterback in the NFL, and definitely not the only, one of the many reasons that make him in the GOAT conversation of just consistently elite is his ability to run outside the pocket and extend plays.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think mobile as Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, you got to rush for 800 yards a season. No, you can be a running quarterback who's got a cannon for an arm, Pat Mahomes. How about another name that a lot of people don't think of when we talk about running quarterbacks? Josh Allen.
Right.
He led the team in rushing yards as a quarterback.
I mean...
Fran Tarkington did it first. But I know I'm trying to because he's white. I thought we were going to be bringing race into it, man. But
I mean, you were asking why.
Let me guess. He's not as fast.
No. I'm not saying that. I mean, but I would.
He goes, but I'll look at the times. Yeah. I'll let you know.
If I remember, his 40 wasn't the fastest.
Yeah. Well, when you're built like Cam Newton, no matter how fast you are.
But I mean,
but at the end of the day, man, I think that's what it comes down to.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, we already know he's a running quarterback.
Deshaun Watson.
Lamar's one of the best runners in the NFL. And so, yeah, dude, you always know I'm a fan of running quarterbacks. I think being able to extend plays gives you such an intangible to your offense, dude.
If you can have a good enough offensive line, anybody can sit in a pocket and pass the ball around.
You should be able to. Yeah, maybe except Zach Wilson.
Yeah. But to me, running a bootleg, there's a lot more intricacies in that. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to time everything so that you're running off and be able to lead with the throw off the right foot. You don't want to be
accuracy issues, timing issues,
everything,
vision issues. There's a lot. It's anything. You can stare at something in the distance if you're standing still. Now start running 7-8 miles per hour to your right and keep your eye dead on that target.
And it's not,
and with other people in the way.
And it's, all these guys a lot of times start out with really bad receiving around them. I have a note on here. It's like, why do terrible teams just keep drafting them when they have nothing to protect? Like, you essentially, like, if I'm a bad team, really, really bad team, I might want to focus on protecting my quarterback first. Because if you could build up a nice young stable of linemen, typically don't just change teams. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like when free agency market hits, if you treat your linemen, pay them a good amount, they're going to stick around. So you build up the stable of linemen and then that you're not drafting a skilled player, so you're probably still going to suck, right? Because you're not getting in the end zone. Then you go draft a quarterback because you got, take 4 years, draft lineman, maybe 3.
Yep.
And then get yourself the best, tackle, guard, center, whatever position. And then go get yourself a quarterback. Protect that running quarterback at all costs. That's the reason why, like, right now, I was like, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm happy I have the number 1 draft pick, but I'd be upset because now I have to go for best available instead of really building a team, which I know a lot of times, and I've said it, I'm sure I've agreed with, when you draft, you kind of just need to go after best available for the most part. But if they don't make this a very offensive-minded offseason, or offensive line offseason, they're going to get that poor kid killed.
Yeah.
And, and then that just constitutes why people are just like, well, Michigan fans be like, I told you there's never a successful Ohio State quarterback. And also people that are against the running quarterback as far as why they wouldn't want one is because of longevity. And I'm just like, if you protect somebody, they will be. That's the reason why I think that like Lamar Jackson being in Detroit. I'm with Goff right now, but I mean Lamar Jackson come to Detroit. Oh my God. You'll get to see what kind of quarterback he could really be with able to actually sit in a pocket, make a pass, run when he wants to. That's what we saw with Goff this year. So
I think what would change that narrative a little bit is I feel like you do need to we need to have a running quarterback though hit that all-time high GOAT list, because when you really think about GOATs, right? Tom Brady, I guess Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, maybe you could give it to Brett Favre, John Elway. And Favre and Elway did have their moments of scrambles, but we really haven't had a running or highly mobile quarterback that's really hit that elite.
Yeah.
I do think Mahomes and I would say sparks of Josh Allen are probably the closest. And I do love Lamar. I mean, I told you I'd take him in Miami next season.
Right.
If he wanted to come. Love you, Tua, but
there's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of difference. But I mean, I want to give it to Lamar, but I don't know if Lamar is that. Man, I'm a big Lamar fan, but I guess why wouldn't I put Lamar in the elite category? He's consistent.
I mean, he's been able to do a lot of things
He wins MVPs.
I was going to say he's been able to do it without an
and I think that's really what it comes around to, though, is you talked about weapons and you'd put in the notes 06 Mike Vick and his number 1 receiver Algie Crumpler. Shout out,
right?
Algie Crumpler. And I was trying to think of the other receivers, and Brian Finneran is the only one I could come up with, and his Peerless Price and Des White, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about those dudes. And it's Mike Vick, we all know who that is. And why do we know who he is? It's not because of the playmakers he had around him.
Right.
It's because of what he did. And, you see the Justin Fields having issues, and you see, Cam Newton, realistically, even though he was an MVP as well, never really surrounded by elite talent. He had Steve Smith for a hot sec. That was about it.
That was
Greg Olsen was around. But
Musa Muhammad.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was never a superstar, though.
No, but he's a Lansing native, so big ups.
Yeah, but yes, facts. Go green. go green.
Go away.
Okay, you didn't hear me the first
I
time,
did not.
so I spoke up. But yeah, man, and then you mentioned, I know I'm kind of just reiterating, but you saw what Philly did for Jalen We're going to draft you Devontae, who you played college ball with. Let's go out and let's get A.J. Brown, too.
Yeah.
One of the top 10 receivers as far as talent goes. Bring him in. Easy transition from Tennessee to Philly for him.
And
you know what I mean? And then you're drafting younger, a little bit more competent running backs. You give Goddard a little bit more money, keep him around for a little longer, and there you go. You got yourself an offense, and they've always worked on their O-line. I mean, their D-line as well. Like, the trenches in Philly are just outstanding.
Oh, yeah,
They have a phenomenal offensive line, and they have probably the best defense. Well,
I actually,
up there.
I was gonna
Best
say,
defensive line in the NFL.
Offensive line-wise goes, if there's a team in this league that I say has had a better offensive line than the Detroit Lions, healthy Detroit Lions, it's Philly. Mm-hmm. And you're like, CB, how can you say that about your Lions? They're sitting at home. They haven't made playoffs. You look at our offensive line. I would say you could put it up and compare it to
your defense is what you need to work on.
100%. You know what I'm saying?
Not to get off topic.
So, and
your
so,
trenches once again, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like I look, and that maybe that's the reason why I'm sitting here, like defending these running quarterbacks and saying how if I'm going to work on an offensive line first and then build up from there, because guess what? The trenches is the base of every side of the football.
And you've heard legends say the trenches is where you win football games.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's funny if people really take all of these all-time greats, these masterminds of the game, and then go, yeah, you don't know what he's talking about. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if people are saying the trenches, like, start there, I feel like you would think that more teams, more organizations would be like, yo, we need to get these guys up front at a top tier level, because once they're synced, especially when they're a unit and they're synced, your centers are calling out protection schemes, and then everyone knows exactly what's going on. Like, I really feel like that's why this offseason, not to get into a Dolphins or Lions segment, but like, I want to spend all of our focus on offensive line. Like, I would rather draft all linemen and make all linemen offensive free agency moves. Even if we don't touch our banged up secondary or our linebacking core, I don't care. Get the offensive line 100% squared away, because our defensive line is there. We have an elite defensive line. Get our offensive line there. From there, our offense will hopefully only go up, because we had a fantastic offense, especially when Tua was out there, with a garbage-ass offensive line.
Yeah. When we go to Michigan State games.
Mm-hmm. Go green.
Go white. I'm the first thing I'm looking at isn't how fast our receivers are coming out, or or anything like that. I constantly watch for at least the good first quarter. I'm focused in on the line. I mean, I called it very earlier within the game. I'm like, why are we walking in slow motion? Like, because I look at the trenches and I'm just like, this is where the game's going to get played. If an offensive,
so many upperclassmen played so poorly last year.
So
I'm with you.
And I mean, it's just they're fun to watch, and I mean, skill players going to do skill player things.
Yep.
So
especially with how good these freaking D linemen are.
Yeah.
Like, you look at a Micah Parsons, who's got the strength of a 300-pound nose tackle, but the speed of a freaking cornerback.
Yeah, it's
like, literally. I'm not even exaggerating, people. That's the scary part.
Well, and that's what they said is rookie seasons. There's like, we could put him at any one of the 11 spots on defense, and probably on offense, and he could excel. Doesn't matter where we put him.
That dude's talented.
So, it just, I don't know why, they, and not to forget, I did want to shout out Warwick Dunn on that Falcons team.
Yeah.
Because, Warwick Dunn was the beast back then.